Hi everybody, welcome back to the Morning Rant, the show in which I, Alex Arcuglia, talk about my life as a TV commercial director while I telecommute from my home to the office. Today is second day of Ask Me Anything about Best Frame, and I have a question by a friend of mine, Luca. I never met him in person, but I consider him a very, very super close friend. No, that's not true. But I like him very much because I think he's a very smart person and it's funny and it's nice. So let's go to the question.
How does it behave in videos with high deltas of composition? As in, I think back to the aberrant videos generated by LLMs for artistic gymnastics events and wonder how it would behave. Sorry if the question is trivial.
This is an interesting question, and the answer is I don't know at all. The algorithm that stands behind the subdivision of a single movie into subsequence is based on a very, very, very old concept. A single frame is considered, and then the image is reduced on a grid of 10 by 10 pixels. And so those pixels are not square, because if you start from a 16 by 9 picture, then you have rectangular pixels, and then the average color for those pixels is calculated, and then the same thing is done for the subsequent frame. And so I can calculate the difference in terms of distance in 3D space, RGB, red, green, and blue, for each pixel, and then I have a total difference in terms of percentage. I normalize everything to 100%. So if a start frame is completely black and the end frame is completely white, then the difference is 100%. And so I calculated the difference normalized between two frames, and I saw that a threshold of 2% is something like okay to determine if two frames are subsequent or not. For another app of mine, FCP Cat Finder, I use this algorithm, and then another algorithm that tries to identify the difference between frames using artificial intelligence and a signature for the frame. For this app, I thought that it wasn't so necessary to use this complex and time-consuming algorithm. The difference between one frame and the next one is determined by this difference, and given the fact that those videos produced by artificial intelligence tries to be as consistent and without interruptions, and without breaking points, even the most fun and disturbing hallucinations will be considered as natural, and so there will not be any cut created. A funny thing, and this is not the answer for this for the question, but something that I want to add, is that videos and images created by artificial intelligence have always a higher rank in score. So if you create something with the artificial intelligence and you see it as a human and you say, okay, this is not perfect, there's something disturbing in it, those pictures will be always scored very, 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 very high by artificial intelligence, because those models are trained to be as pleasant as possible. And so all these models try to match and to get the higher score. And so the definition of a score is not so perfect, because those images are beautiful in the eyes of artificial intelligence, but not so beautiful or not so pleasing in the eyes of human people. I think that the more we'll be continuing on this path, the more we'll see this kind of disturbance, because models will be trained to fit other artificial intelligence models that tries to classify them. I see this as something like inbreeding. In Italy, we used to say, non chiedere all'hostess il vino buono. Don't ask to the bartender if the wine is good. The bartender is an artificial intelligence model, and the wine is another artificial intelligence model, and they try to match themselves. They will find a good meeting point, but it will be best and good for them and not for us as human. But this is a very ethical and philosophical question, so I'm not so skilled about this to talk about it. That's all for today. See you tomorrow for the third question of this short series of videos about Ask Me Anything about Best Frame. Ciao! Comment, blah, 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 like it, blah, 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 subscribe, blah, 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 always same old stuff. Okay? Ciao.